Welcome to Emerge and Empower Podcast TV, a platform where resilience meets transformation. Here, we amplify voices that have faced trials, trauma, and adversity, stories that inspire hope, healing, and empowerment. Every episode brings raw, unfiltered conversations with individuals who have risen from hardship, embracing faith, strength, and purpose. Join us as we break the silence, uplift one another, and emerge stronger together. New episodes air Wednesdays at 6 p.m. English and Saturdays at 6 p.m. with select Saturdays in Creole for our Haitian audience.
Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome back to Emerge and Empower Shemergence Conference. Yes, we're back for session 4. Oh my God. I've seen all the reviews, all the positive comments, all the people who are still trying to get a seat. Here's the good news I have for you on today. Instead of doing 6 weeks, we're going from the first Tuesday in August all the way to the last Tuesday in September because of the demand and everyone trying to get in. I want to be a part of this virtual conference. You are welcome. So as long as you can find a seat and a slot within the month of September, go ahead and do so. We'll be glad that you join us. Again, this is a platform where individuals come on and share their stories of their emergence. They're on the other side of their healing. They're healing, they're halfway in there, they're 3/4 in, wherever they are in their healing. But the truth is, they are healing and they're coming back and telling you what steps they took that they were able to get through every hurdle that they had experienced. Yes, it's one thing to share it and talk about it, but let's take the necessary steps. Let's go into that therapy. All right, let's talk about it. Turn your pain into purpose. Help somebody out, because here's what happened. As you are helping someone heal, you're also discovering things about yourself too that, wow, I needed that and I didn't even realize. So the healing is continuous. And of course, as you know, the book is about to launch. So you're going to get ahead and get your pre-orders in so you can be the first to get your copy of the book titled Shemergence Unholy at the Table. It focuses on worth. It focuses on unworthy of healing, unworthy of love, confusion, church hurt, spiritual abuse. All of that are all jam-packed into that book. So go ahead and pre-order and make sure you get yours. Through the pre-order, you get your autographed copy. Don't wait until it goes on the launch. All right, get it before. I'll autograph them and send them off to you. I am so excited. All right. In 5 years, 9 books, I never thought I'd get beyond 1 book, but I keep getting prophesied. There are books in you. I'm releasing them. It's not about the dollar. It's about the healing. If I can get it in the hands of someone who's on the front row seat of their life, then I have done my part by helping you on your journey to healing. And we are so excited for the panelists of speakers that will be coming on to this podcast as they will be sharing their individual stories as we take you through different topics as we talk about that worth, that moment where you didn't feel that you are deserving of love, or to forgive yourself, which is key to healing. Stay tuned. Our guests will be right on. The journey started basically from I was 4 years old when my mom, that's the age that I knew or had understanding of my surroundings, of what was going on, and my mom therefore was discriminated. And that's when I realized I didn't have my father. You don't know what you don't have until you realize what is in front of you isn't yours. And we were treated literally like stepchildren, you understand? But I thank God for the book and the journey. If you haven't read book 1, you have to read book 1 for book 2 to make sense, because it's a flow and it's a sequence, and there will be a book 3 thereafter. I was trying to summarize it all and put it in the second book, but it didn't make sense. The Wholeness publishing basically talks about once I now got married and have a life, what I still went through. All right, it was not a Cinderella story. It was not a Prince Charming story. It was a cycle that kept going, and I had to wake up from it. So I live to tell the story because I could be like the women that are on the side of the road. You see people that are out there prostituting or doing whatever. You don't know their story. No little girl got up and just said, okay, I want to be a prostitute. I want to just be on the street. I want to sell drugs. Nobody wakes up to one thing to do anything. It is the experiences that people have that causes certain things to end up happening. So as a Christian, first of all, you must be forgiving to people. So something happened. Sometimes I'm watching a lot of African movie, the young lady that was her only way to be able to help her family. That was the route that she could take. All right? So these journeys are hard. I was suicidal until I was 28 years old. And that's when I forgive myself. Everybody here, you have to want to live. If you are sick, you have to want to be well. So that's basically the journey. I'm growing. Now I turn my feet into purpose. I created We Walk platform. I want to come and get together. An excuse to go to brunch. An excuse to do lunch. An excuse to do dinner. That's my journey. So I thank each and every one of you for believing, for coming out here, to be here. I'm part of this society. So I thank you too because everybody responded to my promotion for the ebook that made us bestseller on Amazon. My book was next to TJ's book. Amen. So even if it was momentarily, I made it there. Amen. Even if it was for a moment, I made it there. And God can and will continue to do the rest. He did it. Amen. Amen. We did it. Thank you. And yes, we are back. Thank you everyone for watching. And yet again, another book launch, right? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? But that's what happened when we are healing. What we find is once you have decided to turn your pain into purpose, oh my God, the provisions come in. And again, wherever there's vision, there is provision. You just have to show up and get it done. I remember growing up, it was an old movie where the guy built up the field, right? Built up the field for them to play. I don't remember what the movie was called, but I remember the scenario. He said, if you build it, they will come, right? If you build it, they would come. So a lot of times we are on that back row seat and we're like, nah, I don't have enough people. You're waiting for your crowd or individuals to come on. But I'm telling you today, just do it and it will happen, right? Build it and they will come. So welcome everyone to the Shemergence Virtual Conference of 2025. And we have Greg on here. We have TD, we have Catherine, we have Naomi, and we have Tamika. Welcome, ladies and gents, on today. Go ahead and just shout out to everyone. Let them know you are on Shemergence Virtual Conference, and go ahead and voice whoever wants to come in. Do an intro of yourself and introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Dr. Lynn J. I'm so glad to join you again on your platform. My name is TD Flenaugh. I am a podcaster, an author, and an educator, and I am going to be sharing my story of, how I was healing and, I was brought through God's grace.
Thank you so much, TD. Unmute the mics.
I'm Naomi Morad. I'm in Atlanta, a psychosomatic practitioner for 25 years. And I help people heal the pain of their past so they can show up in their lives today. And this is pretty much also what I've done with my own life. So I'm very happy to be here, Dr. Lynn. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. They're returning. I love the returns. Oh my God.
And my name is Greg Lijkowski. This is the second podcast that I'm appearing on. I've worn a number of hats in my life, but I am a diagnostic radiologist by profession. You kind of say maybe MD radiologist. That was one of my roles in life. I live in Fresno, California. I'm the very fortunate husband of my wife Lynn.
Love
We've
that.
been
Love
married
that.
41 years
Wow.
of sometimes blissful combat, but other times it's been, put it this way, we are we have made it through many things. We have two living children, and actually two up in heaven, which and
Oh,
one of
something
my
here.
child stories helped really precipitate me writing my autobiography, and
Yes.
lived a lot.
Love it. I mean, we could hear that you got your MD in husbandology. All right, let's go to Catherine and Tamika.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Catherine. I'm tuning in from Orlando, Florida. I have an amazing husband of just over 9 years. We have two little girls, and I'm a podcast host and soon to be retreat host. Like, we're doing a
Ooh,
workshop. So, pretty exciting.
love it. Welcome again. Welcome back,
Thank you.
Catherine. Welcome back.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tamika Powell, and I live in this great city of Gainesville, Florida. I've been here about 5 years. I am now a certified life coach. I decided to step into that after I went through 3 rounds of cancer, and I won. And how I made it through was I heard the Holy Spirit tell me to live, and I decided to live through it. So I started a Facebook Live, just helping people understand that they could live through any moment. And I decided I wanted to do something different. I'm also a mentor to a wonderful group of women called Wow, Women of Wholeness.
Wow, beautiful,
Mhm.
beautiful. Listen, each and every one of you, as you even did your intro, talk about, the journey that you had to get here, right? And each person living their life right now, right? After the trauma, after the past experience. And I want to just celebrate you for being on here today. I celebrate people for just getting out of bed because there are days people just don't even feel like getting out of bed. So let's just clap for just for that, just to step out, to be here and said, I am going to show up. All right, you're not doing this for Dr. Lynn J, but you're doing this for yourself, because as you tell your story, believe it or not, you're also still processing and still going through your healing. And the more you talk about it, the more comfortable it was. Because there was a time in my life when I spoke about I couldn't even finish tell my story. I would just choke up like, I could never finish tell my story. And now I could go through it, and there's other people crying, and I'm looking at them like, why are you crying? So so that's pretty much it. So thank you everyone once again for joining the Shemergence podcast. That is on the Emerge and Empower. And Greg will be coming on to have his one-on-one. Tamika too. Tamika I met actually at my very first, you might not know this, Tamika, but that was my very first panel of speaking when we met at that time. That was my very first event. I traveled the miles to go there because I believe that there was more for me. So the Lord opened up the way that I could go all the way to Georgia to meet women I've never met before, said yes to be a part of a panel of people, and they said, there's no money and you're far. I said, it's okay. I'm coming. All right. Booked my hotel, got on a plane, and I said, I'm claiming these miles. For every mile that I cross, Lord, you're going to open up the windows of heaven, and you're just going to pour it. And I'm going to mark all of these places as territory. And every place that I go over, they'll be calling me back to speak. I've never stopped speaking ever since. So we need to invest in our future. Look for things. I don't look for things close to me, actually, because they always tell you a prophet is never honored among his people. So I go far away. I want to fly. I want to travel. I believe I can fly. Anybody on here believe they can fly? I believe.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. So we're going to dive right in here, as this particular segment is called The Silence Between the Prayers. Okay, when God felt far away, when that positivity felt far away, when people saying far away, whatever that is for you when it felt like it was far away. So we're going to talk about those moments in between when you were silent. Silence because you were protecting yourself, or silence because you were muted, right? So the very first question we have, and this will go to each and every one of you to answer accordingly. Have you ever felt like your prayers were hitting a wall? All right. And can you describe what that was like for you?
Yeah, I felt that way as a little girl. There was a period in time, I was in the church as a little girl and was saved, was trying to really be, holy and really dedicate myself to God. My mother had left the family, was separated from the family at the time. And I would just get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, pray before I went to school, before I caught the bus. Um, I lived in Alaska at the time, and things were just getting worse and worse around me. It was we didn't, our pipes froze, we didn't have running water. Then, we didn't have heat, no fuel, not enough money for fuel for the heat. Our
Wow.
electricity went out. Like, things were getting worse. And then I hadn't heard from my mom in months. So things were just feeling worse and worse. At that point, I just really was journaling, reading the Bible, and, praying, just really hoping things would get better. The things I would read would often be, the Bible. I was reading the Bible, but I was also reading character books about perseverance and courage. And I started to look at my journey in a different way. Like, oh, all of these wonderful people, because they were courage, because of the person became. Like, it was Thomas Alva Edison as a little kid, or it
Hmm.
was, all of these, George Washington Carver as a little kid, the things that they had gone through. And
Hmm.
so I started thinking, okay, well, these are things that are just preparing me for greatness. It didn't feel any better, but it also would just help give me, faith. And I just kept praying, waking up early, reading, doing my best in school. But it was a challenge.
Yeah, that definitely was a very challenging environment to be in, to not have the bare necessities, to have them there, and on top of that, for your mom not to be there. So, and as a little girl, that's what you knew. You knew to go to the Bible. That's what you were taught too as a child. So
Yes.
that's where you went to look for strength. Instead, because some children look for the streets. They look to hang out, do opposite. So you had an excuse, like some kids when they were younger run away from home. There was no home that was a good place to be in. So a lot of things happen. And for your mom not to be there, definitely. So
Yeah.
wow. So your prayers was just praying that, one day she'll come back. But in the meantime, you decided, I'm gonna do good at something when everything else around me is falling apart. Wow, 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 wow. We'll go to our next person. Have you ever felt like your prayers were hitting the wall? And describe the moment of your journey of healing.
I'll go. I'm gonna tell you, the in between the 3 times of finding out that my multiple myeloma came back. I know the first time it was just a breeze. You just go through it. You don't focus on anything. I just got to get better. I didn't have an understanding of what it really was. And then it came back 5 years later. All I heard was God tell me before to come clean off of chemo. And so I believed like that. And for 5 years, when COVID hit, I couldn't go to any doctor to even be checked to
Mm-hmm.
see where my numbers were, because they were so worried. I had just had my first my only bone marrow transplant. And 5 years later, it hits me again. And it hits me right when I've had to move. I came from a domestic violence relationship, and I was married to someone in clergy. So how can God allow me to be in this place? And I'm trusting you, and I've lost everything because I got married right before I found out I had cancer, actually. So
Wow.
how can God allow me to be in this place? Where are you in all of this? And now where are you? And I'm alone going through this.
Right.
The last time I had somebody to depend on, and my thing was, do I make the decision to go through with the divorce? And the thing, he told me yes. And then cancer hits me again. And I'm thinking,
Wow.
okay, so the silence of, and now myself is speaking to myself. Okay, so who's going to be here with me in the middle of the night when I'm having a hard time? Who's
Wow.
going to take me to chemo? Because I depended on that person. I had a couple. I had someone that was right there home with me. And so I didn't know what to do. I had just launched a ministry, and I'm just trying to hold on, because I'm not only trying to hold on to my health, but I'm trying to hold on to who I am. And I
Right.
was finding myself trying to please and beat those words that were saying, you'll never be enough.
Wow.
You're not worthy. You're not this. And so I'm trying to prove to myself. And God sent me help. Yep. He sent me friends. And then he said, shut down the ministry. But how would I shut down the ministry? It's only been a year and a half.
Wow.
And he tells me to tell everybody to go. You can't do ministry anymore. And I feel hopeless. I feel ashamed. People are going to talk to me. I have no consistency. I'm not this. I'm not that. But little did I know, when I was going to go to the doctor to do another check, the cancer came back the third time.
Wow.
Right after I had just rung the bell. And I'm thinking, no longer am I praying, God, why? God, what?
Mm.
Not because you can keep asking him why. And he told me to live through it. And so my focus really became, I got to live through every moment, not live through the day. But if I get a bad report, or if I'm tired, I got to just live through that moment. And the fear, like, I really learned, it began to teach me the issues that I had on the inside of me. And little did I know, he would set me up for a blessing. He would set
Wow.
me up to be healed, because that's what he told me. He was going to heal me. But I did not know the process was going to be of moments by myself, moments of
Loneliness.
trusting him and buying faith when there's nobody that can be there, when the people that I have to lean on are all gone, and he puts what I need in place.
Wow. 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 That's amazing. 3 times. And then you just ring the bell. It's like every time, it's like you come from, it seems, from bad to worse, you know? And because we have been friends since that last event, and I realized I hadn't seen you online. The last time I saw you, believe it or not, was when you said you were getting married. I don't think the marriage had happened. You had met someone, right? And then I didn't see you anymore. I'm like, well, maybe she's just living her best life. That's why they always tell you to check on the people who are strong, because you don't know what they are going through. And I want everyone to know, as long as you are here today, you connect with me on social media. I don't go on people's stories, but I celebrate you. Whenever you post something and I see it, I am big on celebrating. Let's go. Let's do this. That's who I am. I'm cheering on and offline, because, sometimes that's what you need. You need that one person, to connect with you. So we'll continue with our other guests here. Again, have you ever felt a moment in your life where your prayers were hitting a wall, or describe a journey of your healing when you felt disconnected?
Well, I would like to just say, Tamika, my heart as a doctor really goes out to you, because I happen to have worked a little bit with multiple myeloma. I know it can be a very bad actor, and I in a sense feel the despair that you felt, and my wife and I also felt in many ways like God was up there, but where was he when our son David was about, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 months old, when essentially the world came crashing down on us, where we went from believing he was a normal little infant to realizing that he had a terrible seizure disorder and very severe developmental delay, which subsequently rendered him like a quadriplegic.
Wow.
And he was essentially an infant, although he grew chronologically as time went on. But boy, did we prayed up a storm for a miracle, and it was really hard to keep the prayers going when David would have an emergency hospitalization, would be in status epilepticus with his seizures going continuously, had to go to the neonatal intensive care unit at the Children's Hospital. And what we wound up doing many times was, like, we did have some help. We did keep our weekly date. Then often enough, we would just go to the restaurant, drink a glass or possibly 2 glasses of wine, and both of us start crying. And not even have dinner, but come home and just hold each other. And man, oh man, it was tough.
Wow.
Just going through that.
Wow. Indeed. Even when your child simply have a fever and the same thing won't go away for 2 days, you're like, Lord, like, transfer the pain, like, let me handle it, let me take it on. So I can imagine what both of you are going, like, transfer this to me. I can handle this. He's too small, he's little, so I think every parent have gone through that feeling. And here it is, you're living this every day with this infant, seeing your child growing chronologically, but yet, all of these things that are going on. And that indeed is a lot. That is heavy to carry. And I can say, thanks to God, you two are still here, because that also breaks relationships. I've seen it often enough when you have a sick child, somebody end up saying, you know what, I didn't sign up for this. You understand? What makes it harder? I could go back to Tamika when soon as this happened, now she have to go through a separation and a divorce by herself. All right. So let's continue here with others, because if we start going back and back, we're going to keep going around here in circles. So let's try to get through each of the questions as much as we can. I'm not rushing you through, but it's like everything that is said is giving you a moment to say, you know what, we can stay here a little. We have Naomi.
I'll go
and
next.
We have Catherine.
Yeah, I'll go next. A time that I felt like my prayers were hitting a wall. In 2019, my daughter and I survived an amniotic fluid embolism. And it happened when I was in labor with her. And thankfully, by the grace of God, she's okay. They rushed her to the NICU. And like I said, she's okay. But my journey has been a lot longer. And I'm not able to do the things that I did before September 19th in 2019. It left me disabled because I had a stroke and multi-organ failure, 9 days in a coma, 7 surgeries within those 9 days. So a really long journey. And so as time, I think like the first year, my word actually was persevere. And that's what I did. I just put my nose to the ground, just did the rehabs that I was told to do, did the follow-ups I was told to do, etc. But then as the years have passed, it's been hard to kind of keep up that grind, so to speak.
Right.
And so I'm kind of coming to terms with the fact that God may not heal my body 100% this side of heaven. And while that's okay if he doesn't, I still have hope. Like the miracle or the miracle of full healing could happen tomorrow. I don't know. That would be really, really amazing. But I'm still coming to terms, and just trying to cling close to God, that this is in his timing, not mine.
Right, right. Yeah, because you did share your story on the podcast, and that is a lot to go through. The body physically,
Yeah.
psychologically, there's a lot
Yes.
involved when someone is sick. When you're going through and trying to be strong, and all your children are young. These are not older kids. You have young children to
Yep.
take care of while you yourself isn't 100%. So
Yep.
I can see the frustration and a lot
Hmm.
that is going on with that.
Well, and it impacts the whole family.
Yes.
Yes, I'm the one who's disabled, but now my husband's a caregiver.
Right.
And thankfully, now our girls are 5 and 7. But, at
Mm-hmm.
one point, we were, like you said, we had a newborn and a 2
Right.
year old. So it's like, what do we
Mm-hmm.
do?
Right. Right.
But
And
God is
true.
good.
That's true. That's true. We're gonna go to
Hmm.
Naomi. The time when you hit the wall and you didn't know what else to do.
I hit a wall when, well, I had completely dissociated, disconnected from the trauma that happened to me for the first 20 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
At the time I was 28, I had my first memories of being sexually abused by my family for the first 20 years and
Mm-hmm.
being trafficked. And I decided that I was going to face my family and I was going to speak to them and that everyone was going to admit their part and we're going to
Mm-hmm.
be one happy family.
Right.
It was very naive at the time, but
Mm.
that was my prayer that
Mm-hmm.
I could somehow
Right.
set the secret free. And my father completely denied everything. My mother pretended not to know what I was talking about. My
Wow.
siblings looked at me and didn't know what to say. And after that weekend, I went back home and I felt like it was the end of my life and the
Mm.
beginning maybe of my new start, but I really hit rock bottom.
Right.
And I think that's when my journey began of looking for understanding that the help was not necessarily going to come from inside, but it was
Right.
by healing from the
Mm-hmm.
inside.
Right.
So that's my story.
Yep, and I can connect with Naomi on that because I've shared it and it's in my book, so it's not a secret. It was a secret for years. But when I was 7, I ended up telling a neighbor who told my aunt, who found out that I was being sexually abused. But the worst of it wasn't even that, is because I was 6 years old when I was raped and left for dead. So, and I couldn't tell it. I couldn't share the story because this person was always there threatening that they would burn the house down while we were sleeping. So I felt like I had to protect my family. So I can relate to Naomi on the part of being, sexually molested and all the things that you happen as a child. I didn't know who to turn to. You're a kid, you don't know who to turn to. So I was the oldest. I kept living, doing whatever it is that I can do. I was suicidal until I was 28 years old. My healing didn't begin until I looked at my daughter that was 7 years old and say it was not her fault. Because through my whole life, I was always thinking it was something that I did that caused these things to happen to me. So when I prayed, my prayer wasn't, oh, why did this happen? My prayer wasn't, where were you, God, or anything like that. It was like, well, I guess this is my life. This is my cycle, So it was like, I can't tell because the people I did tell about it did nothing about it. So I just was silent. I had a wall for a long time. I didn't let people in, only to an extent, in my life. So we each have these walls that come up and we have these questions, you know. But as we've gone through these walls and in the healing journey, what what did the silence teach you? How did the absence of the answer shape your perspective on life itself, your healing, your relationship with God, whichever one? How did this silence teach you? What did you learn in this silence? And what came out of it for you? We can go in any order here.
I would say his ways are better. So, like I mentioned, I was doing rehab, just kind of putting my nose to the ground, just, grinding that wheel, so to speak. And then 4.5 years later, I looked up and just really was like so incredibly burnt out and just didn't know what to do next. And that's when I ultimately realized, like, I can try my hardest in every single rehab appointment and, burn myself out at home doing rehab. I can walk as much as I want. Like, I can try all of these things. And ultimately, it's not me who is healing my body. It's not the rehab. It's not my doctors. It's ultimately him. And I have to surrender to his plan, and it's in his strength. Now, I think a lot of women, we tend to struggle with control a little. So relinquishing that control was something that I had to really come to terms with and repent. I had to repent to God for trying to take over control. Now, at the same time, I have to do my part. Like, I have to do my home rehab program. I have to be wise about what I'm putting into my body. I have to be wise about how I'm spending my time. Because too, like, rehab takes me away from my family. So if I'm just constantly focused on that, then I'm missing out on my kids' childhood. I'm missing out on time with my husband. So I have to do my part, but it's all within parameters, or it's all within, what's the word? Like, it's all within parentheses, there's segments. It's not like I can do rehab 30 hours a week. Like, that's too much. Anyone would get burnt on that. So relinquishing that control and knowing that I have to do my part, but it's ultimately his timing and he's the one in control.
All right. We'll go to the next person with the
And
silence
I
teacher.
would like to just say yay and amen to what you mentioned.
Thank you.
For a time there, I was going into kind of the New York frame of mind, like New Yorkers don't give up. Like, it's not in our vocabulary. And, I even think of like Winston Churchill, never, never, never give up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great to a point. But the important words to follow are that, yes, God is a miracle working God.
Mm-hmm.
He still does miracles, and on his timing and for his honor and glory. And we experienced many, 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 many miracles along the way, which, maybe we can talk about it at a later time, but it's God's timing, not ours.
Mm-hmm.
And, while I'm a physician, I'm depending on the great physician.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll continue. I'll repeat the question. What did the silence teach you? And how did the absence of answers shape your perspective?
I want to say I can piggyback off of what she said too, because it teaches you, number one, you have to quiet down and you have to rest.
Yeah.
If I didn't learn anything, I learned to rest, and not just physically rest, because that was the hardest part. The hardest part for me was physically resting, because I relied on me for everything. I took care of everybody, my children, my grandchildren, my whole family out. That was me. But when I was put in that last position, I had to rest, and I had to rest spiritually. And then I had to accept where I was. One day when I was just praying, and I asked God, I said, so am I supposed to, and how can I be just, you called me to help everybody else and help everybody, give them hope and help them heal. But how can I be that if I'm not healed?
Mm-hmm.
And so he has a real distinct way of answering us. So I was watching the movie The Chosen, and in that simple episode, little John came up to him and he said to Jesus, He said, you want us to go out 2 by 2, but how can we go out 2 by 2? I'm not worthy because you've healed everybody else except for me.
Wow.
And Jesus said, but you're the greatest example because you are the greatest example of what my word does. And I click for me. It clicked for me because just because my limitations that we have, just because I'm in a moment, it doesn't make me any less worthy. It didn't make me any less healed because he said, I'm healing what's on the inside of you first. And if he healed the inside, and so when he started healing the hurts and the pains, then I'm able to walk into the healing of the physical, like that really happened. And I realized that in that quiet place, I was safe. He had me in a place where he wanted me to be safe, safe from the noise, safe from all of the things that was going on, so he could do his work while the doctors did their work. While I had a lot of radiologists, I have holes in my bones. He did a lot of stuff, and he gave me every single thing I needed in that silent season.
Wow.
It just
Wow.
took me to sit down and be quiet and
In
accept.
truth, in truth, we do have to silence the noise. That's the first step. And I think this is a specialized field for Naomi. So before we go to TD and Catherine, because that is dealing with the healing, the inner you, right? Because you have to quiet down and you have to be in tune with who you are. And Naomi, as a professional, let's go to you here for a moment on that aspect. Also for you personally, but also on a professional.
I believe that everything we deal with in our lives today, every pain, mostly everything we deal with,
Mhm.
pain, even cancer, depression, anxiety, anything, procrastination, is based on early childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And when we sit with that pain of that younger self, those younger parts of us, and we really give those parts a voice and truly learn to listen and be still, like you said, Dr. Lynn, just go into that stillness and be present to the pain.
Hmm.
That's when we begin to heal. That
Indeed.
is the healing process. Going into
Indeed.
meditation, getting the help that we need. I think that's very, very important. I know that for me, I could not have done it alone. I went
Right.
for a lot of help and support throughout my healing process. And yeah, this is really the key. Like, I started meditating and taking that time, like
Hmm.
making space for that, just to
Yes.
be with myself. I had to schedule time. I knew, and if I don't do it in the morning, it's not going to happen later on in the day. So
Right.
no matter what, I knew that time, even with children, my husband, and life and busy, I had to find a time in the mornings that I dedicated to myself before I started work, before I did anything else.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
that commitment of tuning in and being in silence and just being present to what is.
I can't say that enough because for those who love to pray, you can pray from AM to PM and start all over again. But until you shut down, quiet yourself. You can't hear yourself beyond it. I've always been a silent praying person. I pray within, I pray inside. Um the faith community will call on you to do prayers out loud and stuff like that. But me, I like where the Bible talks about going into your prayer closet, which is your inner self, right? To pray and to speak and to find healing. And once you do that, even for me to remember, like if I want to memorize stuff and I'm reading something, I literally have to close my eyes, all right? So that I would allow myself to come one with the study. And if I do that, trust me, if I say I'm going to be ready for a test in 2 days, I'm ready. Why? Because you got to quiet all of that, the noise, the letters, the writing. We're seeing everything, but you got to quiet down, right? Become in tune with you. All right. And that's how it happened. That's how faith is activated. Hope is activated. All of this is activated because what happened? we have quieted some of that down. All right. That is definitely the first step. And when it comes to health, you definitely have to come down because you have to release a lot of that. All right. So we're going to go TD.
Yeah, I really had another approach. It was still being quiet, but
Mm-hmm.
as I was reading a lot, and I was in fourth grade
Mm-hmm.
when this started. Um, um, I really did a lot of writing as well. So the writing, what I realized with my journey with God is he also is giving me tools to be empowered, right? My teacher was teaching us how to really write and to personalize the writing process for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And, with that writing and that daily writing and using my writing as a confidant, right? As I was praying and writing, and really a lot of jumbled up thoughts were able to be, smoothed out. They were able to, stop filling up my head and be on the page instead.
Right.
And, you know, from God, I was learning, he's giving me tools to be empowered for myself. I was saying, part when I don't have anyone to talk to, the writing is a good space to go. And it's really a wonderful tool I've used throughout my life for healing, right? And so that's what I was learning in the quiet is to write. And so being quiet and sitting and writing, getting those thoughts out, because I found that my thoughts would really be jumbled up in my head. They would blow up.
Mm-hmm.
You know how people catastrophize. Like if this doesn't happen, then then this is gonna happen. Just like
Right.
the
Right.
worst thing and the next worst thing. But the writing helped to put in perspective. It's on a piece of paper. It's not as daunting in my head. There's
Mm-hmm.
some perspective there. I could go back and read and reflect. And it also is like a testimony for me. When more hard times come, that writing is there that I can see, like, I've been through this before. This is similar to this, and I got through that, and I could get through this as well. So that, that is a gift that God has given me that I have definitely used throughout my life.
Indeed. They would tell people to journal, write it down. That's also part of you was doing therapy without knowing you was doing therapy,
Yes,
basically.
absolutely.
We have enough in us because if we listen, like Naomi was saying, if we truly listen and go quiet, all right, then we can actually truly evolve. Only then can we evolve. You understand? We had to quiet all the noise. We had to quiet the doctors, the sounds, the machines, whatever was going on, because it's all about you, right? All that chaos is happening on the outside, but at the end of the day, it's about you, the individual, the person, the spirit man, right? Because we spend a lot of time on the physical, but we are spiritual beings. You understand me? So we
Yeah.
have to connect, and that's how you heal. Your healing starts from the inside, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. All right. So we're going to take a break right here and we'll come back with another set of questions for you. So I call it a coffee break because it's for the Alive coffee, which I love. And it's a natural product. And I will just play that here and we'll be right back. Everyone, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Remember when coffee was just coffee? A routine sip, part of the 2 billion cups consumed daily, enough to fill an Olympic swimming pool every 3 minutes. Same old flavor, same old routine. For centuries, 75% of coffee drinkers have settled for mediocrity, masking the taste with sugar, syrups, and overpriced add-ons. But what if coffee didn't just promise to be amazing? What if it actually was? Introducing Alive Coffee, the first coffee that tastes as good as it makes you feel. Meet the coffee that thinks beyond the cup. Bold, smooth, alive. Made from expertly roasted top-quality beans, Alive Coffee is smooth, rich, and shockingly delicious. Stop drinking May, start drinking Alive. The coffee that delivers just like the 90% who won't start their day without it. Alive Coffee. Wake up, take over. feel alive.
All right, we're back. We're back. We're not only feeling alive, we're sharing what living is, right? The part of healing is, right? So that's why we're back here on today. So, everyone, I hope you've learned a lot from this, and I know you'll have time to go back and watch the replay, right? The replay. So, we'll continue. Remember, this whole segment about Shemergence also talks about worth, that moment where you didn't feel like you were deserving of love, okay? You didn't feel that you are worth it. The worth healing. Can you believe that? We can feel that we're not, you know what, forget it. I'm not worth it. Don't put so much energy in me, right? So, did you ever question your own worth because of delay, anyone?
A lot. I think she talked about catastrophizing our thoughts. I lived in that. I think that was my best friend. And I didn't feel I was worthy. I didn't feel I was worthy because I lost so much. But I didn't realize that the loss was the gain that I needed. And the loss was necessary.
Wow.
The loss was necessary for me, number one, to know that I was loved. Because a lot of times we feel unworthy because we don't feel loved. We didn't have love. And so we're out here trying to find love. And I was trying to find love in relationships, and not just with a man, but relationships and friendships, relationships within dysfunctional families. And I finally made the decision after, those 2 years of just having to sit and accept where I was, that I was worthy and I was loved. And once I knew what his love was, then I could understand how to love me. So I'm feeling unworthy. Yeah, I could write a book. Actually, working on it.
Yeah, I definitely felt like, oh yeah, you're not the kind of kid that's going to get these different things in your life, you know? And even just as I was getting older, like, maybe I'll be one of those people who die young. I wasn't suicidal, but I just really was like, maybe something's going to happen to me.
Right.
And just like, maybe just why are you asking for so much? Because you're not going to get it. And other people, don't have that much either.
Wow.
And so why would you ask for more and expect more? And so, yeah, I definitely had questions, right? But I was trying to teeter on, well, maybe I'm getting this is happening to me because I'm being formed into this great, strong person, right? But there was still that part that was like, no, you're just like a poor little Black girl, growing up in Alaska. I live in Los Angeles now, but growing up in Alaska and just not having that many Black people around and not having, a strong community. Sometimes I just felt like, yeah, I have like certain comments about me or whatever, like, because I'm what's different. I just was like, well, yeah, maybe it's just, like, are you serious? You're asking for these things. You're asking, but you're not going to get it. You're not really, you're kidding yourself is some of the things I was thinking to myself sometimes when things were just getting worse and worse.
Right. All right, let's go there. The feeling of worthlessness.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I will say becoming disabled at 34 years old was not in my life plan. I'm not such a planner that I had every aspect of my life planned out, but I would definitely say that was not in what I thought would happen. And often I do feel like a burden to my family. And, some people say that's not true. I kind of feel like it is true. Like that's just our reality. And I think that helps me accept reality. Now, at the same time, that doesn't mean I'm not worthy of care. Like I think being a burden and being worthy of care are different. You know what I'm saying? I think we're all worthy of care. Eventually, all of us will need some
Right.
sort of care, whether that's cancer or we become elderly, or
Right.
even if we're having a baby and our family comes to help with a new baby. Like,
Yes.
we're all worthy of care. And also, like, through this journey, a lot of the friends that I had before 2019 aren't in my life anymore, you know? And not too long ago, I said to a friend, I feel like everyone's abandoned me.
Mm.
And she said to me, well, that must be a very lonely place to be. And I'm like, yeah,
Wow.
that is. That's why I'm telling you. That's why I'm trying to, like, get some sort of connection. And so
Right.
feeling, well, I didn't feel that way. I was abandoned by people who I thought were my friends and who
Mm-hmm.
I thought would be in my life for my whole life.
Right.
And that didn't happen. And then at the same time, it's made our little family of 4 so close. And two, it's made me realize that no matter how many people come and go in my life, I mean, I'd rather more people stay. I love people. I'm an extrovert. But no matter how many people go, I still belong to Christ. And Christ is never going to leave me. He's never going to abandon me. And I'm worthy of his love, whether or not I'm a burden or not. Like, to me, that's kind of, I don't know, pebbles on the sand.
Wow. Wow. We have Greg and Naomi.
I felt a great sense of unworthiness due to all the abuse I went through. And I was a huge pleaser in order to make everybody happy, read everyone's needs before they even knew what they wanted,
Right.
just in order to be worthy of love. And it wasn't something that changed overnight. It was doing a lot of work, healing a lot of trauma. And every time I healed another part of me, a part of my self-worth started to come back.
Yes.
And that was really my big part of my journey, reconnecting to my worthiness, because I believe that we're all born like with that God essence within us, like the
Yes.
soul that we're born with
Yes.
is the God essence. So God is within us, is a part
Right.
of us. And whenever we look into a baby's eyes, all we see is like beauty and light.
Yes.
And this is the truth of who we are. And that's the part I feel is so important to reconnect to remember who we really are at our core. We're not what we were told. We're not the way we were treated, but we are that God essence that we were born with, that pure
Yes.
soul.
You know, Naomi, that just sparked a vivid memory in my mind when, you know, here we would be at McDonald's, you know, with David. Maybe he was 6 years old at the time, in a wheelchair. And I remember this little boy coming up to the wheelchair, looking at him, and he goes, "What's wrong with him?"
Mm.
And I said, "Nothing." And the little boy said, "Well, you know, why is he in the wheelchair?" Oh, I said, "Yeah, because he has a really terrible seizure disorder, and he has a real bad developmental delay." But the one thing that I would tell people, I said, if you look carefully into David's eyes, you can actually see God's reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I mean, his eyes sparkled, and he was an ambassador for God, although he couldn't speak.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
believe he could understand some, but to follow up, question your own worth because of the delay. Hell yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
was I praying hard enough? Was I, you know, did I need to give more money?
right? Come on, you feel like that too, no lie.
And by the way,
Ooh,
we did have, we went through it with, if there was a healing evangelist in town, we were there. And, found out some appeared real.
of
And in
course, there's a lot
retrospect,
of fake people out there.
some of them were interested in money. But, it's not a question of praying hard enough or
No.
did we do enough. There was a slow process, but we had to surrender to God and just say, God, we would love a creative miracle. Like, look, Catherine mentioned, I would have loved a creative miracle when David was alive.
Yeah.
But the miracle that happened was actually at a Benny Hinn, and reel me in if I'm going too far, but we did go.
No, there's no limit here. This is not one of those platforms. So
Well, in 2021, in 2001, because David lived from 1993 until 2002. But we got to go to a Benny Hinn Miracle Crusade, which was in San Jose. And I will admit, Benny Hinn is a colorful figure. Some people believe that God works through him in the healing ministry. Some don't. We got to go up on stage, and Benny asked what my hope was for our son. And with the cameras rolling,
right.
And I said, I would love to see David be able to walk and talk about the glory of what God has done in his life. And he just asked people who could stand to stand. There was something like somewhere between 17 and 19,000 people in this arena. It was packed. A lot of people prayed. I could feel being uplifted. And here I am holding David, he's about 8 years old. And, I didn't fall back and get slain in the spirit. What I got was, I got the desire and the stamina and the stick-to-itness to persevere on. And that, in and of itself, was the miracle that happened for us.
Right.
And it was real. And then a year later, David passing on, that was the miracle of God taking him home out of his pretty darn painful life and existence.
Yes. Wow. There's been a lot of deep. I don't even know where to go back, so I won't touch it. I'll just leave everything alone. Leave everything where it is, because that unworthiness for me is where I brought in. I don't think I brought the book, but that's where I brought in for me, dealing with spiritual hurt. It wasn't a Benny Hinn in your case. It was a person that I grew up with who was the pastor of my church, right? And I always wanted to get baptized, right? Because you say you should get baptized. So I'm 12 years old, acts of baptism, 13, 14, up to 15. I'm asked for baptism. I can do everything else, but you're telling me I'm not grown enough, old enough to get baptized, whereas my friends are getting baptized at 9, 10, and 11. And you're telling me, every time you tell me no, I'm feeling worthless, right? I already had childhood trauma. I already had all kind of stuff against me. The one thing I thought, faith, the side on faith, I got this. My faith, I'm teaching, I'm at every service, I'm doing everything like you said, what else haven't I done? And you telling me I'm not worthy of it. So I'm 15. I go into your office because I know you. I didn't grow up with a father. My father was never in my life. So I see you, the only father figure. I didn't know you were a predator. For children, I never experienced that. Even though you'd hear people say things, and so I go into your office, And you call me over. It's Norm, your dad. I'm leaning on your shoulder. And next thing you know, your hand is going where it shouldn't have. And I run out of the office. That shattered me. If you want to talk about not feeling worthy, I was like, well, everybody, like everyone that should love me, they're hurting me. I was done. I was done. For almost a month, I don't think I went to church. But I didn't want to stay home either because you're in this environment where it's worst off, but where can I go? So I started attending another church that was down the street from my house, but never trusting anyone. To this day, my trust for people, I will trust you to an extent, but I wouldn't let you in. I had to put those walls up, because life taught me don't treat people by face value, right? And it's a good thing because you have your discernment on. So talk about feeling unworthy. So that just piled up onto all that had already happened in my life. I'm really broken now. I'm feeling worthless. Like, you know what? Just ain't working. They telling me, but God and God being love. Well, where's the love? Because it ain't coming over here. You understand? I'm not feeling it. And the person that I thought for sure was God example on earth isn't who he is, So ever since then, I'm not going to lie to you. I would trust people. I can't say trust because trust is a big word for me. I will give you credit. Let's put it that way until you prove me wrong. So whenever somebody says somebody did something, I go like, well, I'm not surprised. They are human. Because I had put them in the God pedestal, if you get what I'm saying. I've learned to keep people in that human aspect. That way I'm never surprised anymore, if you get me.
Yeah.
So that's it. So, and this goes with children, like the worst people, I'll say teenage years, to feel worthless, because it can go both ways. As a teenager, you can harm yourself or do something detrimental, getting into drugs, getting to, young girls getting promiscuous, just self-destructing. So unworthy. So that's what I brought into this book. I'm bringing this unworthy. I'm bringing everything that I went through that made me feel unworthy. I took people through every one of those steps. Marrying a narcissist, making me feel like I'm nothing. I'm only something because you're in my life. You're the best thing that can happen to me. Like, can I win? It's like, hello? But I'm going to go back to that quietness. I had to turn everything off and say, you know what, Linda? Stop people pleasing. Stop overcompensating. Stop. And I was always the yes woman. I started to say no. And in the beginning, I felt bad to say no. I was like, I'm feeling guilty for saying no. But I'm in such a better place because I'm growing, I'm understanding, I'm getting my control back. Like we have a remote or a mouse, which is a control. I can decide what channel do I want to go on. Right? Because if we stay on this road of unworthiness, that's why, unfortunately, we have a lot of suicide numbers are high. Why? Because people feel worthless. They feel like there's nothing to their life. Did any of us not go through something that could have taken us over? Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I've had the pill bottle in my hand. I've had the desire to just throw myself. I've had that. Because in unworthiness, that dreams you to an existence like there's nothing else. It's just all dark. But aren't we happy that some light came in? That's why we're here today. We had some light that came in, all right, and has changed the trajectory of our lives, all right? So because of that, I'm going to talk about who or what help you stay anchored. Let's share this. Whether it's tools, moments, what help you stay anchored?
You were talking about how you didn't want to go to church, but then, the church was better. So the church is one place that was anchoring because I did when I grew up in Alaska, there weren't that many Black people when I went to school, but we had a little tiny Black church that I attended.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a place that really was a place that helped keep me anchored. They're really, kind people there.
Mm-hmm.
They're very encouraging to me. So that, and I also had my aunts. I had an aunt, one of my mom's sisters and one of my dad's sisters. They both were very helpful, place that I could take a bath and get my hair done or whatever,
That's nice.
Get a new dress sometimes, just because, we just didn't have the facilities, right?
Right.
All the time. So, but yeah, also what was really helpful for me, because when I found that I could help others. So,
Yeah.
right, one of the things is my aunt had a tutoring program at the church, and I started helping the other kids with reading. And so it helped me to see, like, look beyond myself
Mm-hmm.
and help others. And then just also see the power that I had or the gifts that I had, and I was
Right.
using them. So I really enjoyed helping the other kids learn how to read, because I did a lot of reading and writing. So I was really good at reading and writing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So those were really helpful things. I also made a garden, because we were living on land that, the facilities weren't great, but we had a lot of nice land that I
Mm-hmm.
decided to grow different, tomatoes and lettuce. One thing about where we grew up in Alaska, in Fairbanks, we had 24-hour daylight during the summertime.
Well,
And
that
so
helped.
we had a great growing season, right? So that was very empowering. We could eat some food from the garden. And again, like, it's not to a young girl, right? It's like a miracle, right? To that you're,
Right.
you read about growing things, but just really actually growing things, the thing that comes from a little bitty seed. Um, it just really helped confirm my faith in God. And also, thank God for the gifts that I had, the power that I did have. I couldn't control a lot of things, but the
Right.
things that I could control
Mm-hmm.
um, were really helped to anchor me.
And gardening is therapeutic. So you were in therapy. You had so many therapy. You know, even
Absolutely.
right,
Yeah.
Naomi? She had a lot of.
She had a
She
lot. She was
she had
very
a
intuitive,
lot.
very intuitive.
Yes.
So I'd say what anchored me was first my faith, reading my Bible, listening to worship music. And that was actually hard at first because I had to relearn how to read after my stroke.
Wow.
But it was nice that I could listen, download an app on my phone and listen to the Bible. So I did that. The Psalms were very healing for me. Also, a book called Lord, I Want to Know You by Kay Arthur. And it goes through the different names of God. And that book really transformed my faith and helped me know the Lord and feel the Lord and see the Lord in entirely new ways. Also, TD talked about helping others. Creating my podcast has been really healing for me as well. In some ways, it has anchored me because I've can speak about my faith while helping the community that I never thought I'd be a part of. We kind of always say it's the worst club to be in, but the community makes it worth it.
Right.
And so I just think that village mentality is so powerful too.
Yes, we definitely need a community.
Well, I want to say what helped me through it. I think it was this song. I was in the hospital in one of my bouts, and the doctors had told me I had bilateral blood clots on both sides of my chest.
Wow.
And when I was in the hospital, this song kept playing. It's a New Horizon.
Oh,
That
I
fear
love
is
that
not
song. Yes.
Fear is not your future. And what was so funny is I was in the hospital, but I was sitting and I could look out the window and I could see the horizon. And I just kept saying, it's a new horizon. And so songs for me, worship songs speak to me. So when I know I hear a song playing in my head, that's one of the things that I know, okay, so this is not the end, it's the beginning.
Yes.
My other favorite thing, and she had to put her outside because she would have been a part of this podcast, is Bella. Bella is my part Maine Coon cat. I got her when I moved here because when I came here, you know, it was a lot and I was alone. And I got Bella from the Humane Society. And I was looking for a kitten, not a cat.
Right.
And so when I walked in that room, she came straight up to me. And the lady was like, this cat does not talk to anybody. She doesn't deal with people. You can't allow her around anybody. But I had said I wanted to get a cat that I could love.
Right.
And so what actually happened to Bella, Bella is my love partner.
Wow.
Bella is the person, or because she's not a person. But when I first got Bella, she wouldn't let people touch her. She was she had been abused.
Exactly.
So my love changed her.
Right.
And so that gave me, okay, so I can make a difference, because if I can change this cat, now I can't stop her from meowing and sleeping in bed. She was my strength. Like, honestly, anytime I get really sick or something's wrong, she'll sit around me, but she'll come lay on my chest.
Wow.
And so that's how I know, okay, maybe you need to get up and go to the hospital. Maybe something's even more serious.
Right.
And my spiritual father, because going through this phase, I'm a leader. I'm a go-getter. But now I have to be nothing.
Right.
And so me trying to prove myself and do all this stuff. And he said, Tamika, it's okay to rest. It's okay for you to, you don't have to have a title to be who you are, because you are who you are.
No.
And I'm just grateful, because being alone, which I thought was going to be the hardest thing, was the easiest thing, because on that journey, I met so many people. From the chaplain in the hospital who came in the room and would just talk, and the doctors, like, they would just come in my room just to have conversation. But my strength came through, like, just releasing.
That's it.
And really accepting the place that I'm in, and learning that it's okay to rest. I have so many people who were my strength, but I think it was a twofold thing, because they were taking something from me and I was giving something to them. My family, if I could say anything, I put myself in mentoring. I had a mentor, I had a therapist, because I was like, okay, Tamika, when you come out of this thing, you got to come out whole. So I put in the work. I took the time. The last thing I did, even in the midst of having a CAR T-cell therapy, I'm sitting in the hospital and I'm going through neurological toxicity. If anybody knows what that is, where you're almost like going through strokes. I was taking classes to be a certified life coach. Wow. Because I said, this is the only way that I know I'm going to stay somewhere sane in the midst of this. Wow. So never giving up. And God, of course, him.
I love that you mentioned your cat, Bella. I do therapeutic horseback riding, and I started riding horses when I was 10. So obviously, did it through middle, high school, and even into college. So that was like a huge goal after I got sick. And the horse that I ride now, his name is Jasper, and he has PTSD. So he and I connect on a different level, because
isn't that something?
Yeah.
If you met an animal that had issue, but when you all connected, it was perfect match.
It really was. And if you guys know horse breeds, I'm not a thoroughbred person or rider. I typically I grew up riding Appaloosas. So it's like, I don't know, like a German Shepherd and a Chihuahua, like just completely different types of horses. But Jasper has won over my heart, and I bring him way too many carrots.
I would love to bring everybody back, but because we have so many things to still go over, but we're gonna go with Naomi and Greg, and then the last part is a letter to yourself when you were going through. So just think of it. It could be just a few words, right? Those who've already spoken. So think about the letter. What would you tell yourself when you were feeling unworthy in those times? As Greg and Naomi go into what their anchor was.
My anchor was Tamika. Could very much relate to what you said, to dedicate your life to healing. For me, I had a turning point shortly after my memory started to come back, that I made a choice, and I made a choice to heal 100%. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. I just knew that I had to choose life, and I couldn't be with one foot in and one foot out anymore.
Right.
That was not going to work. I already had 2 kids at a time. And when I understood that I can heal 100%, looking back, I think it was my dedication to do all that it takes to live my life the best way I can. And that meant I started studying. I'm studying until today. I love studying. Always learning new modalities, new techniques, how to heal, how to grow. Meditation. I had my family, I had my husband, I had my children. Then later on, I had another 2 children. That was my life. Like really living for what really matters to me, what
Right.
fills up my heart and my soul, and finding that strength within me instead of taking it from outside.
That's definitely a beautiful anchor. A lot of us look at our children. We look at something to be, you know what, this is what I'm holding on to. This is what's going to be my reason, my why, right? My why. We all need a why, even though we're feeling that way. Thank you so much, Naomi. Greg?
Yeah, I would say I'm resonating with all the other beautiful stories that I'm hearing. And, as it turns out, we became part of the disability community. And it just happened. We didn't anticipate it. But we got connected with a disability ministry called Johnny and Friends.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
Johnny Erickson Tada
Yes, I
is a
love her show.
quadriplegic as a result of a diving accident when she was a teenager, etc. Anyway, they came alongside us, and we actually attended 2 different family retreats, one in 1997 and one in 2001. We got to actually meet Johnny Erickson Tada, and another time, if you fast forward a little bit later in her journey, when Johnny had breast cancer, Lynn and I got to pray for her.
Wow.
As you know, we got to reciprocate, which
Right.
for me is like, how wonderful is that? And,
Right.
and I got to serve on the board of directors for the Central California Johnny and Friends ministry.
Mhm.
In addition to her, my wife and I, we just resolved that we are in it for the long haul. I give her tremendous credit.
Mhm.
Neither of us, giving up isn't in our vocabulary.
Mhm.
And then we had Pastor Doug along the way, who actually wrote the foreword to my little book, Dare to
Oh,
Thrive.
beautiful.
Shameless
Dare
promotion,
to thrive.
available on Barnes and Noble and Amazon. And I'm hoping it brings honor and glory to God.
All right, we'll put the link in the bio, everyone. You got to get that if you want to
Thank
thrive.
you.
Wow.
Greg, I'm actually reading one of Joni's books right now. So yeah,
Wow,
I'm
beautiful.
familiar with her ministry.
Powerful.
I
So
love it. I
powerful.
listen to Johnny sometimes on my drive when I'm in my car, sometimes coming home. I like to listen. So here we go. If you could write a letter to yourself during the silent season, what would you say?
I would say connect inwards, listen listen. God is not outside of you. God is inside of you.
Inside.
Don't look and wait for someone to come and rescue you. The only person that can really save you is just you yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody can do that for you. No power outside of you.
Yeah.
When we give our power away, we're waiting, we're blaming, we're a victim. When we understand that the power lives within each and every one of us,
Mm-hmm.
and we connect and reclaim our own power, that's when we heal. That's when we thrive. That's when everything becomes possible.
Love it. You just connected with Greg's book.
Right.
I don't even know Greg.
Right.
Next person.
Yeah, well, I would definitely, I'm writing a book about my life right now, a fictionalized version of my story, but really it is about, looking to God for your gifts, right? So those are the things that brought me through, using my skill of teaching others how to read, helping, gardening and writing. Those are the things that help me, get through. So keep reading, keep writing,
Mm-hmm.
helping others, finding things that you're passionate about are going to help move you through. And I did write 2 books. I have the Rewrite Method and I have the Rewrite Method workbook, So this is about like
Bring it closer
helping,
to the screen.
yeah, the Rewrite Method and the Rewrite Method workbook. It helps, you know, it helps parents and teachers help kids fall in love with writing, because writing is such an essential skill to help for healing, to help them to find things that they're passionate about. And so it's a workbook set that really is really helpful for helping the kids to realize their true potential.
Thank you
And
so much.
yeah,
Again, those
love that.
links will be in the bio. Next person.
I would tell them or myself that silence is not your punishment, it's your preparation. Right
Hmm.
now,
Wow.
God is doing a deep work in the places that nobody else can see. You may feel hidden, overlooked, or forgotten, but heaven has not forgotten you. There's purpose in this pause. Heaven is still writing your story, even when the pen seems like it's still. Don't let the silence make you question your worth or your calling. You're not behind. You're not losing. You are being strengthened. You are being stretched. And you are being refined. What makes the delay is often a divine alignment. This is the
Mm-mm.
season for you to listen more closely, to lean in, and to heal. Let your roots grow deep and let God minister to the parts of you that you've buried under the performance, the pain, or even the pressure. He's just not interested in what you do for him. He wants you whole, surrendered, and resting. You're not
Beautiful.
alone. Heaven is with you in the hush. Don't rush this process. When it's time, God will open the doors, release the words, and shine the light. But for now, breathe, be still, and trust. You're becoming something beautiful, even in the
Becoming. Ooh.
Yes.
Don't rush.
Amen.
In the
Mhm.
hush. Come on. She said so many poetic words in there, Greg. I
Yes.
know you're
I'm
reeling.
working on and so I'm
You know,
so yeah, yeah.
I,
This is
I
really
oh, sorry.
go. This is really what I found me. Like the silence helped me find me. It helped me find everything that every other prophet or person told me I was. I
Right.
couldn't see that. But that silent place, this sickness,
Mm-hmm.
got me to a place where I could become whole. And so now I can do what I'm supposed to do.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Now
What
we
I
have Greg
believe
and Catherine before we close.
what I believe I've learned, and I'm still learning, is that indeed pain is inevitable. we all wind up in the barrel at some point or other. It does not have to define who we are or be taken as a mantle for the rest of our lives. Working on really important forgiveness, also perseverance, and get yourself a faith walk. That is so integral, it's so pivotal that, through God's help, his grace and mercy, we have the ability to transform wounds into wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I am still daring to thrive. I haven't arrived yet, but I feel like I'm on my way. And I'm grateful to having been asked to be a member of this audience. Thank you.
This emergence. So you've arrived because you're here, sir. All right, let's go to Catherine.
So if I could have written a letter to myself during that silent season, I would say, I can do hard things, not in my own strength, but because of what Christ did for me on the cross.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Listen, all of you have poured, and everyone that are watching, come on, put those emojis in. Let us know that you're connecting. Connect. If it was TD, put TD, heart. If it's Naomi, heart. If it was Tamika, heart. Greg, bring the drums. Catherine, show them the love, all right? And do connect with them. If you find any one of them relatable, when you do reach out to them, okay, because their links will be here in the bio. When you do reach out to them, tell them you saw them on the Shemergence Virtual Conference or Emergent Empower, all right? They need to know that their message was able to reach you, all right, on today. So we sad to let everybody go. I promise I wouldn't keep people longer than 90 minutes. We had to go a little longer because we have many people on the platform, but everyone that connected during this conference must know that your purpose, you've turned your pain into purpose, and your life is a testimony. All right, which is a lifeline for those who are watching, whether they're watching now, next month, a year from now, it will be the right and on time message for them at that particular season in their life. So, everyone, until next time, we don't want to keep them because we want you to come back next week. Okay, we want you to come back and connect again and watch the next people as they come on. So, sorry, we have to say goodbye for now. All right. Let's tell everybody bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you so
watching.
much.
Bye.